Okay, so you know that traditionally published books sell an awful lot of copies, but there are also an amazing selection of self-published books that have done really well over the years, and that's what we're going to talk about today. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com, where self-publishing doesn't have to be so hard. So today we're going to look at the 32 best self-published books of all time. Now, as we're going into this, you're going to want to know a reason to read self-published authors. And one of the main ones, it's so that you can get an idea of just the quality that self-published authors manage to put out onto the market. Sometimes there can be a tendency to assume that you have to be traditionally published in order to produce something that's of quality. And that is a huge misunderstanding upon how this works. And as you see, and we're going through these different books, you're going to better understand exactly the role that self-publishing has played in putting amazing works onto the market over the years. And some of these books are really old. Now, some of them I've personally read, some of them my kids have read, and some of them I haven't. So you have to stick with me as we go through the list, because some of these are really amazing, amazing books. Okay, so to start it off, The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Now this is one, then the Beatrix Potter collection DVD is one of the ways that a lot of people will see this particular one. And it deals with the timeless tale for all ages, and you're dealing with the animals and things where they're pulling together the different, all of these different animals and then interacting with each other. Now, as when I was a kid, I definitely did, in fact, go through this one. This is a little shocking for me that this one was self-published of the ones that I've listed in the list here. But this is definitely something worth checking out. And maybe when you grew up, let me know below in the comments if this is something that you yourself also read as a kid. But Peter Rabbit, definitely one I read as a kid. Number 2, The Martian by Andy Weir. Now, and you may know him from The Martian, the movie, or you may have read the book. I personally have read both, and I've read the book and I've seen the movie, and I can tell you this is a really fantastic one as it's going through all sorts of stuff. It was very educational in terms of understanding the nature of Mars and surviving, and I'm really get into these survival stories, and it's the sci-fi issue also really pulls me in pulled me in a bit when I was working through the book. I did see the movie first and then went back and read the book, and I can tell you that they're both really high quality, so you can't go wrong no matter which one you read first. But this was in fact self-published. Now, I've also read some of his later books. I don't think they were self-published, but that's the beauty of self-publishing. You can build an audience and then come back later and get traditionally published on your other books once you've proven that in fact there is a market. The next one is 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. And you may know it from 50 Shades of Grey, the movie, but no matter where you've seen or read this particular series, the thing to remember is this was a self-published one. And in fact, based on reviews, you will see it has like 3.5 stars for the reviews. But even with that, it's managed to do really, really well and sell an awful lot of copies and make a lot of money. Now, obviously, it's exploring a lot of adult themes and sensuality and all sorts of stuff that, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's the thing to remember when it comes to self-publishing. When you're writing, you're not writing to everybody in the world, but you're choosing a specific market who you're going to be targeting, and you'll notice 50 Shades of Grey definitely is hitting that specific audience, and it hit it in such a way that they're willing to spend millions and millions of dollars reading this book, and there are lots of copies of this exact book and a self-published book. The next one is Still Alice by Lisa Genova. Now, this is one, and this also you might know, Still Alice, the movie, is another thing that came out of it. And I'll have to, since I personally have not read this one, it's a powerful and emotional performance. Still Alice features a powerhouse performance by Julianne Moore, who portrays Alice Howland, a renowned linguistics professor diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease. Moore's portrayed is both heart-wrenching and authentic, capturing the emotional journey of a woman grappling with the loss of her memories, identity, and independence. So this is an exciting one that may be worth checking out. Now, I personally have not read this book. That's one of the reasons I have to make that one. The next one is Legally Blonde by Amanda Brown, which is a self-published book. Now, I personally know from Legally Blonde, the movie, which was really fantastic because it's a really fun, and it's funny because, she plays as a lawyer in this particular one, graduating from Harvard Law School, but but then is legally blonde since he's blonde. And so it's this mixture of this idea, well, is this main character an airhead, or is this main character really deep? And you start to really connect with the main character in this particular story as you're moving through the whole thing, and you realize, no, she's actually very, very smart. And so I don't want to spoil the particular thing and some of the things that happened during this particular one, but this was a really fantastic movie. I have not read the book, but if you have read the book, let me know if it differs from the movie, because sometimes the movie is not as good as the book. But again, self-published. I was not aware of this, but this definitely makes the list of the best ones of all time. The next is the Celestine Prophecy by James Renfield, and also the Celestine Prophecy movie. Now, I have not read or seen the movie of either one of these. I do believe I'd read and researched a bit previously, but it's a spiritual exploration and enlightenment. The Celestine Prophecy is a thought-provoking film that delves into spiritual concepts and explores the idea of synchronicity, energy, and the interconnectedness of all things. It invites viewers on a journey of self-discovery and enlightenment, encouraging them to question their beliefs and perceive the world from a broader, more spiritual perspective. And I think that was along the lines of when I was first exposed to this particular one. I had some people who I knew who had read it and really enjoyed it. So that's another one, self-published, which is a little bit shocking because I actually thought this one was traditionally published, but nope, self-published. Then the next one, Aragon by Christopher Paolini. And Aragon, it was also made into a movie, and all of my kids have read the books. I've seen some of the movie, but I have not actually read the books. My kids have all read the books. Really amazing literature, epic fantasy adventure. It takes the readers on an epic journey through the land of Alagacia. You have to correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation, where they join the young protagonist Aragon on his path to become a dragon rider. And that's why this falls under fantasy as a category, right? Filled with magical creatures, ancient prophecies, and thrilling battles, the book immerses readers in richly imagined world of fantasy and adventure. So if fantasy and adventure is your thing, I would highly recommend this, but don't go too early in age. One of my kids actually stopped the series because he was reading it a little bit too early, so you might wait till you're at least a teenager before picking up this series so you don't get yourself burnt out. And sometimes after you stop reading a book, it's harder to come back to it. But amazing, yes, this was also self-published. That brings us to the next book, The Joy of Cooking by Irma Rombauer. And this one was a really fantastic one. I personally have used this book. I bought it for gifts for other people. And it's a culinary Bible that has been trusted resource for home cooks since its initial publication in which year? 1931. With over 4,000 recipes and a wide range of cooking techniques, the book covers everything from basic kitchen skills to complex gourmet dishes. It serves as an indispensable guide for both novice and experienced cooks alike. And this is the thing I was surprised is that this was self-published. I've used this specific book for many, many recipes that we've done over the years. Usually my wife and I will work together in the kitchen using this exact book to put together whatever the meal might be that we're preparing, because it is just that good and is self-published. Moving on. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, this is one I am very familiar with. I've read all of Kiyosaki's works, and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, there it is, self-published. They didn't want to get it for the traditional publishers weren't interested, but it is an amazing book that deals with the nature of passive income and understanding money from a completely different perspective than you may have ever seen it before. And the reality is he's looking at what are assets and what are liabilities and the ability to make money while you sleep. This is a really powerful read. I would highly recommend it. I had all of my kids read through this exact book because it is a foundational work on understanding the nature of money and how exactly you can leverage it, other people's time, other people's money, and other people's systems in order to make money online or anything else. And it's a self-published book, so this is definitely on the list. And especially as a writer, because your books that you're putting out as a self-published author are definitely going to be passive income sources where they're just sitting there making you money. Assuming you set up ads and things that I teach my coaching clients, then we can start seeing that money coming in. The next one, The One You Love by Paul Pilkington. Now, this is one I am not familiar with. I have not read this particular one. It's a gripping psychological thriller. The One You Love it's a gripping thriller that keeps readers on the edge of their seats from start to finish. He weaves a suspenseful narratives filled with twists, secrets, and unexpected turns, making it a page-turner that will leave readers guessing until the very end. And it has a lot of complex and compelling characters, in addition to an engaging blend of mystery and romance. So it depends upon whether that is your cup of tea. Now, for me personally, I generally read fantasy and science fiction, so this is not in my the standard one, but this may be something that you would be interested in, and it is also, as we mentioned before, self-published. The next one, Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. Now, this is another one I have not read. It's an intense and passionate romance, since I don't generally read that, and it delivers an intense and passionate romance that explores the complexities of love and relationships. The book follows the tumultuous relationship between Abby Abernathy, a seemingly innocent college student, and Travis Maddox, a charming and volatile bad boy. Their roller coaster romance captivates readers with its emotional highs and lows. Now, not my cup of tea, but a self-published book, and something you should definitely consider if you like these types of passionate romances. And it's self-published, which is really, in the end, why we're going through all of these, is that some of these books, let me know which books you've read in the comments. I always want to know which of these books you've read and which ones you haven't read, but specifically the ones you have, and what did you think about it? Could you tell it was self-published, or did it seem like it was traditionally published? And what exactly does that even mean? Because you can do all of the steps, getting the editing done and all of these things yourself. The next one is Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. Now, this one is another one I have not read either. It's an epic fantasy adventure. So it kicks off an epic fantasy adventure that encompasses treacherous quests, political intrigue, and a world teeming with magic and mythical creatures. Michael J. Sullivan crafts a rich and immersive world that draws readers into a thrilling tale of heroes, villains, and the ultimate fight for justice. Now, this would qualify as something that I would be more likely to read because it has a dynamic duo of protagonists. That's one of the things you have with it, as twists, turns, and intrigue, and that is the key aspects if you're looking at reading this amazing self-publishing book, which I can't really vouch for because I haven't really read it. Let me know in the comments if this is something I should consider reading, because it is in my area as a fantasy adventure. The next one is Wool by Hugh Howey, and one of my kids is currently actually reading this very book, and it's definitely on my list of books to read, and it's a post-apocalypse dystopia, which also is a favorite genre for me. It immerses readers in a post-apocalyptic dystopian world where society is confined to a massive underground silo. Hugh Howey, and he's a huge self-publisher. He's done all sorts of stuff for the self-publishing community, giving all sorts of powerful advice and teaching a lot of people how to do the self-publishing process. His novel explores the claustrophobic and oppressive nature of this underground society, revealing a carefully constructed world with secrets waiting to be uncovered. And there's a whole series of books that he's come out on the whole Wool front. It's a compelling mystery and suspense, so it pulls this aspect to it, and a thought-provoking exploration of humanity, which I can tell you when I'm reading any book, that's always something I want to see, is that it explores more than just giving me a basic, exciting story. I want to explore some aspect of humanity, something that philosophical, something that's going to get me to think a little bit more, and Wool is one of these books that will do it, and it's self-published. The next one is Whiskey Sour by J.A. Conrath. This is one I have not read. So let's take a look. It's a fast-paced and suspenseful. So the thing is, it's a thriller that grabs readers from the first page and doesn't let go. J.A. Conrath crafts a gripping narrative filled with twists and turns and unexpected surprises, keeping readers on the edge of their seats as they follow the protagonist, Lieutenant Jacqueline Jack Daniels, on her quest to track down a sadistic serial killer. Now this, if you like that sort of thing, then this is probably going to be a book for you. It's compelling and complex protagonist, and you have dark humor and engaging writing style. So this is something that, if this is your type of book, this is something you should consider. Let me know again if you've read this one, and it's self-published. So it's another one of the top ones. Worm by Wildbow. Hopefully I pronounced the name correctly. I have not read this one either, but this one also, again, is in a category that I do tend to read. It's an epic, so Worm, it's an epic superhero web serial written by Wilbo, spanning over 1.7 million words. So this thing is huge, like Wheel of Time huge is what we're talking about. The story follows Taylor Hebert, a teenage girl with power to control bugs, as she navigates a dangerous world filled with heroes, villains, and moral complexities. With its intricate plot, rich world building, and complex characters, Worm offers a unique and immersive reading experience. And you got to keep in mind, with this particular book, you're going to get deep exploration of morality and consequences in addition to engaging an unpredictable narrative. And that, for me, is also important, this unpredictability, so you don't obviously know right from the beginning what is going to happen as you read through the book. The next one is No Thanks by E.E. Cummings, and this one I have not read either. It's a unique and experimental poetry, and I have read E.E. Cummings' poetry, but I have not read this particular one. It's a unique and experimental approach to poetry known for unconventional use of grammar, punctuation, and syntax, including lowercase letters and things. Cummings breaks traditional poetic rules to create a distinctive and visually striking poetic style that challenges readers' expectations and invites them to engage with text in new and unexpected ways. Now, I do enjoy reading E.E. Cummings. I may have in fact read this particular one, No Thanks. I did not know that it was self-published, so very important to know that. Next is Swans Way by Marcel Proust. I have not read this one. You have a new graphic novel, In Search of Lost Time, Swans Way. So that's like a way you can get it without maybe reading the original text. In Search of Lost Time by Swans Way, I have not read this, offers a stunning visual adaptation of Marcel Proust's classic literary work. The graphic novel format brings Proust's vivid descriptions to life through beautifully illustrated panels, capturing the essence and atmosphere of the original novel in a visually engaging way. And so it has complex narratives and introspective exploration, which for me is a very important one. I have not read Proust, by the way. Accessible introduction to Proust's masterpiece, which is maybe something you should consider, and really impressive that it was also self-published. The next one is The Shack by W.M. Paul Young, and I have not read this one, but I have heard a lot about this one. So The Shack, it's a gripping and emotional journey. It takes readers on a gripping and emotional journey as they follow the protagonist, Mackenzie Allen Phillips, through a transformative experience. And Paul Young delves into themes of faith, forgiveness, healing, offering a profound exploration of human condition and the power of love. The one thing I remember is I think God is portrayed as an older woman, if I remember correctly. You can correct me below. Let me know what you thought about this book. This is something I do enjoy reading, some religious writings. I have not read this one, so let me know if you found this particular book helpful. The next one is My Blood Approves by Amanda Hawking. And this one is a compelling vampire romance novel, which I have not read this one. I haven't read really any romance novels, especially vampire romance novels, that combines elements of supernatural fantasy and young adult fiction. Amanda Hawking weaves a captivating love story as the protagonist, Alice Bonham, finds herself down to the mysterious and alluring vampire Jack. Their forbidden romance unfolds amidst a world of secrets, danger, and unexpected twists. And this one is another self-published book, which I haven't read. Next one, The Brass Check by Upton Sinclair. I haven't read this one either, but I have read other works by Upton Sinclair. Did not know it was self-published. So what is this one? The Brass Check is a powerful expose of corruption and unethical practices in the field of journalism. Upton Sinclair sheds light on the manipulative tactics, censorship, and corporate influences that hindered objective reporting during the early 20th century. The book serves as a scathing critique of the media industry and highlights the importance of independent and unbiased journalism, which is something we could definitely use today in the day and age of fake news, if that makes sense. The next one, for self-published, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which I definitely have read. And it's a classic tale which has been used and done 1,000 times. And it goes to show that you really don't need to have traditionally published in order to have amazing stuff that's put out there. And the thing is, it's a timeless classic, tells a heartwarming story of Ebenezer Scrooge, a cold-hearted and miserly man who undergoes a profound transformation through a series of ghostly visits. And Charles Dickens' novella beautifully captures the spirit of Christmas and delivers a powerful message of redemption, generosity, and the importance of compassion towards others, which is definitely something he communicates in this particular book. The Gaelic Wars by Julius Caesar. Is that amazing, right? It's the first-hand account of ancient warfare, right? as Julius Caesar recounts his military campaigns and conquests in Gaul, modern-day France. The book offers valuable insights into the strategies, tactics, and challenges of warfare during this specific time period, providing a detailed perspective of Caesar's military prowess and leadership. And having also myself gone through a lot of leadership training at the Air Force Academy in my military service as well, I actually went through a lot of these things. Now, I did not go through the Gala course, but I went through an awful lot of other military writings, and these can be very helpful at understanding the time, but a lot of principles that also apply to today if you happen to be fighting wars, and maybe in terms of business and other things in life, you usually will find tips and things that are interesting. But this was also self-published, which is pretty cool. Next one is Paradise Lost by John Milton. I have read this one. And what is it? What is Paradise Lost? It's an epic poem of immense scale, exploring the fall of mankind, the rebellion of Satan, and the cosmic battle between good and evil. John Milton's rich and descriptive language brings to life the grandeur and complexity of the narrative, immersing readers in a world of angels, demons, and divine intervention. I've read his other ones as well. I was not aware that it was self-published. I read this in literature class many years ago. Next one is Marian, Metamorphosis Insectorum Surinamensium. Now, you may or may not have read this. And what exactly is this? It is a pioneering work in natural history illustration by Maria Sibyliana Marian. Her meticulously detailed, don't make me say that again, detailed and scientifically accurate illustrations of insects and their life cycles revolutionized the field of entomology and set a high standard for subsequent natural history artists. So that's another thing to consider. Another self-published work, and this is in the area of nonfiction. We have The Asylum for Wayward Victorian Girls by Amelia Autumn. I have not read this particular book. It is a unique blend of memoir and gothic fantasy. Amelia Autumn shares her personal experience in a psychiatric institution while interweaving a fictional narrative set in a Victorian-era asylum. The book offers a thought-provoking exploration of mental health, identity, and the challenges faced by women in historical and contemporary society. So that's a lot of interesting aspects that they're exploring here. And you're going to have the raw and honest reflections on mental health, which is one side we can look at it, and also a fusion of artistic expression. This may be something as a nonfiction work worth checking out. Then we have Nicholas and Company, Book 1, The Merman and the Moon, forgotten by Kevin McGill. So there's your first one. And also the book 2, which is When Boats Breathe and Sights Speaks by Kevin McGill. And you're dealing with the continuum of the engaging fantasy adventure, right? When the boats breathe and the cities speak continues the captivating, right? It's the adventure and dealing with his companions. And Kevin McGill, he takes readers on a thrilling journey as they encounter new challenges, unravel mysteries, and delve deeper into the enchanting world that he's created. And what you're going to get if you read this book, which I have not personally read, you have the expansion of the universe and the expansion of new realms, and you have Thomas themes of identity, belonging, and sacrifice. And this may be your cup of tea. This is actually something I may be considering reading as I'm working through it. In addition, you have book 3, which he wrote, The Foul and the Fallen by Kevin McGill. So, and what is this one? This is the conclusion to the 3 series set. The Foul and the Fallen deliver an epic and thrilling conclusion to the fantasy adventure series, and he takes readers on a roller coaster ride of action, suspense, and emotional revelations as Nicholas, and his companions face their greatest challenges yet. It's an intensified stakes and high stakes confrontations, and you have themes of, like I was commenting before, of redemption, sacrifice, and the power of friendship to keep in mind. But then that wasn't actually the conclusion, because you had in book 4, The Fire of Lion's Brand by Kevin McGill. And in this particular book, he continues the thrilling adventure of them and their companions, taking readers on a new and exciting journey. So just when you thought it was over, you have an additional book there. And he keeps readers engaged with captivating storytelling, unexpected twists, and the development of both the characters and an overarching plot, as we're dealing with expanding horizons and unveiling secrets, themes of courage, legacy, and destiny. So there's a lot to be found there. Then we have Renegade by Joel Shepard. I think my daughter has at least read this one. This is and Renegade, it's a gripping science fiction thriller that takes readers on a high-stakes journey through a futuristic world. Joel Shepard weaves a compelling narrative narrative filled with political intrigue, intense action, and thought-provoking ethical dilemmas. And it's dealing with complex characters and dynamic relationships. You have a thoughtful exploration of socio-political issues. So there's a lot of things in this particular series that seem really exciting, something you should definitely consider reading, and it is also self-published. Then we have We Ride the Storm by Devin Madsen. And this one here is an epic fantasy with intricate political intrigue. And Devin Madison, he masterfully crafts a complex web of power, struggles, alliances, and betrayals, keeping readers engrossed in the suspenseful and unpredictable narrative. You're going to be dealing with multi-perspective storytelling and compelling characters. In addition, you're having intense action and unpredictable twists, which for me is absolutely essential. I have personally not read this book, but let me know below in the comments if you have. Bullet Series Book 1, Beyond the Starpoint Adventure by Richard Fairbairn, that's an interesting name. I have not read this one. And in the Bullet Series Book 1, you have, what are you dealing with? Well, it's an action-packed sci-fi adventure that takes readers on a thrilling journey through space. Richard Fairbairn weaves an engaging narrative filled with spaceship battles, daring missions, and exploration of the unknown worlds. You're having engaging characters, interstellar exploration, as well as fast-paced plot and intriguing world building. And I really do like space battles in particular, so this book would definitely be on my list. Dogs with Bagels by Maria Ellen Sondovici. Always hard to pronounce sometimes. I haven't read this particular book, but what are you going to get in this one? It's a heartwarming story that explores the power of friendship and the bond between humans and animals, and her narrative, it touches the reader's heart as it follows through the journey of a young woman and her loyal canine companion. And for you dog lovers, this may be a book for you. And it deals with characters, multi-layered characters, and emotional depth as charming blend of humor and reflection. I personally don't own a dog. I did have a dog when I was a young child. I really liked that dog. So this may be a book and it's also a self-published book. Ryan's Return by Barbara Freevey. And for this one here, you're dealing with a second chance romance, right? And so with this one here, and I don't usually read romances, that explores the complexities of love, forgiveness, and redemption. And this one weaves a heartfelt story that reunites two former lovers and takes them on a journey of healing and self-discovery. It involves intriguing family secrets and mystery, as well as emotionally resonant and engaging writing. So something you might consider. A Day of War by Clifford Graham is our next one. A gripping biblical historical fiction, right? That brings to life the epic battles and courageous warriors of the Old Testament. And Cliff Graham's meticulous research and vivid storytelling transport readers to the ancient world and immersing them in an intensity of warfare and the struggles of the characters. It has raw and authentic portrayals of warriors as well as a blend of action. So that is something definitely worth looking at. So in closing up, what you can see here is there's an awful lot of really high quality books that have been written. These are some, not all, are tons of additional self-published books that have done really well. I'd like to know below in the comments which of these books you have personally read and which ones you haven't, so it can better help me understand books that I would like to read in the future as well, and hopefully motivate you as a self-published author or as just somebody who's writing books that yes, you can go the self-publishing route, and you can grab my free checklist and to learn more about how exactly to do that. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video above me.